Like every time he flushes, instead of making the flush sound, it just goes dun 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 dun, or it just goes dump 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 dump, or it just goes.
Wait, but how would you change the sound of flushing to that? Like,
I don't know. It just
flushing is just the sound of water.
Can't hear the flush.
It's not like a sound effect.
No, like like I don't know, it's a soundproof toilet. Who knows? I wish I had fuck you money. Like you could just do anything you want. Just be like, I literally have a shower. Whenever the water hits the ground, it makes the laser gun sounds.
So if Andrew wins the lottery, he's gonna build a soundproof toilet and then add the sound effect of a parody cover of the Imperial March that has the word dump constantly.
Dump, dump,
and it's gonna look like Death Star.
And it's gonna look, we got Death Star.
It's gonna be called the Dump Star.
So is it gonna just be like a circle with like a seat cut out?
Yeah, like it'll
That's
be the
just
Death
an
Star, but then it'll be
outhouse.
like on a, like, you know, when you see those giant globes at the mall that are held up by the water, it'll be like that, and then you turn it so the satellite, you know, that's the bowl. Like, like that. You shit into the laser beam satellite.
I feel like you're like inventing a new toilet here.
Oh yeah, no, this is a real thing. We're gonna get rich, guys.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Hard Reset, a Cold North production. I'm your host, Patrick the Law Morris. Joining me this week, we have gorgeous Ben Reynolds.
Meow.
And the Imperial Pooper, Andrew Etchen.
Ooh, I like that.
Coming up on episode 110 of Hard Reset, Sony ducks out of the TV business, Razer is making Joy-Con, Ubisoft is teasing something to do with Sam Fisher again, Blizzard dropped 2 new sequels on us at BlizzCon, and the announcement that none of us ever thought we would see. But before we get to all that, I want to know what you guys have been playing this week. Ben, tell me what you've been playing.
I have been playing Pokemon Shield quite a bit, and
Shield, bro.
It's a lot of fun. I really like it. Like, they simplified some things that honestly, for just like, I think the things that they simplified actually like made the quality of life things just like simpler. Like they got rid of the whole HM system, so you don't need to have like
A slave.
cut or strength or surf, so you can have a full 6. You can have 6 Pokemon that you actually want to fight with in your lineup
Instead of just an HM
slave. And then, but that's the thing that sucked about the HM slave is like, yeah, there was like a couple Pokemon that you could teach like 4 HMs to, but then you'd still need other HMs. And so it's just like, oh God, it was so frustrating having HMs because a lot of them are not the greatest moves. Like some of them are fine. Like Surf was actually pretty okay, but like Cut was pretty.
Yeah, like
Pretty minimal.
as moves in combat,
Yeah.
like strength was pretty
okay
good.
if you're, yes, and Surf is great if you're fighting fire Pokemon for sure.
Oh yeah,
Or
Surf was like one of the best if you're fighting fire type.
So,
Yeah.
I haven't really looked at a lot of the game, but I saw that it looks like now it's like an open world game where you run around and you actually see the Pokemon running around, and then you go like up to them and fight them.
So there's 2 distinct parts. Like, so when you're in like the routes or like the cities, you like the routes, there's still like grass and Pokemon that walk around, but it's a fixed camera.
Okay.
And then when you're in the cities, it's a fixed camera as well. But then when you're in the wild area, you have control over the camera and you can go kind of
Wherever you
anywhere.
want.
And yeah, and then there's a lot more Pokemon and a lot more like you can just like wander into areas and like so I just keep running, like I keep seeing all these really cool Pokemon and I'm like, oh shit, I want to fight that, and then I walk up to it and it's like level 60 and I'm like, oh fuck, and it's
Back away slowly.
It's like,
So is it
it's like-
kind of like is it like appropriate placement for the Pokemon, or is it just kind of like here's a fucking bunch of random ones just like everywhere?
it's appropriate placement. Like there are certain areas that have more of them.
Ones.
I like that. I've been trying to explore the wild area a lot more because like the game, like early on in the game, well, like you get to go to the wild area fairly early on, but like when the first time you go there, like the first time I got there, I did not understand what was going on. I was just like, wait, what is the difference between this and just the routes that I've
Why
been
can
on?
I see these Pokemon?
Well, no, because you can see the Pokemon on the routes too, and so I didn't understand why it was different. And
Is
like,
it no more like random encounters? Like you actually
no,
have to,
there
like-
are still random encounters too, when you're walking in grass.
They're like the
okay, so like
exclamation
as you walk
points.
through it, it'll be like ring,
Yeah,
But like
exactly.
otherwise, can you still see like a Bulbasaur like walking through the grass though, and then run up to it, and then it'll be a Bulbasaur when you like
No
fight it?
guarantees on a Bulbasaur because I haven't seen a Bulbasaur yet.
Or,
But
just like whatever.
if you see a
like
Pokemon
like a
walking
Caterpie
around and
walking
you
around.
want to fight it, you can walk up to it and fight it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. I like that. 'Cause
Can you
that-
fight
that-
it with your own character and
yeah,
not
can you
your
run up and
Pokemon?
just like bitch
You've
slap
got to
like
use
the
your Pokemon.
Damn it.
And
That's kinda
apparently,
cool.
to replace Surf, they have your bike can now float. If once you get a certain like upgrade for it, I have not gotten that upgrade yet, but apparently I'm looking forward to it because apparently that opens up a lot more things to you, just like Surf did, back in the day. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, honestly, and I'm like looking forward to other people who I know getting it so that I can like trade and battle with them and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
maybe I will get it because now like I am kind of like gameless and like but like, well, that's like playing Pokemon back in the day. I remember like Silver walking through grass like in the very beginning of the game, and one of the legendary dogs like showed up, and
At
I
the
was just like,
beginning?
it like the very beginning, and the only Pokemon I had was that ferret thing that like, and he was still like in the form where he's just like a little target with like his little,
Oh,
what the
yeah.
hell? And like, so I'm like, whoa, and I hit it once and it just like ran away. But I always was, and then I just spent like an hour as a little kid walking through that little like 2x6 square
Yeah.
of grass, hoping that like that square would light up again and I would get to fight
that
it
was
again.
always the like well, and I haven't even gotten like remotely close to like legendary Pokemon or anything yet. So like I don't know what that'll be like, but
But yeah,
that
that's
was
what I
one of
like,
the
though.
things
You
that
could-
was always like so frustrating in those
Yeah.
games for me was that there was just like there would be like those Pokemon that you could only catch in those legendaries that you could only catch in random encounters.
yeah,
And if the wrong
I
thing
like the
happened
idea
and they
of,
just
like,
ran away right away, you would just literally
fucked.
you would probably have to it would probably take like another 500 hours or something before you'd get that random encounter again.
Yeah, like I like the idea of this. Like you could go to some volcano and be like, "Holy shit, there's a Moltres like flying around at the peak. If I go up to the peak, I can go fucking get that motherfucker."
Well, and that's
Like,
how it
I
was
like
in
that.
first gen with Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno. But in second gen, the legendary dogs like randomly would spawn all over the map.
Well, and that's because second gen they introduced a lot more legendaries. Because there was the two birds, then the
birds.
3 dogs, and then wasn't there one more?
Not to my
Mm.
knowledge.
What was on the cover
Was
of
that Was that
'cause there was,
Lucario? Like
silver, gold, and then what was the third
Crystal.
version? Well, it was on the cover of Crystal.
Suicide.
So that's
That's one of
Third.
the dogs.
oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Damn.
I don't know.
Maybe I should get it.
So, Ben, sounds like you've sold Andrew.
It's a lot.
Andrew, what have you been playing?
Well, I'm not going to get into one of them, but I finished Star Wars Fallen Order. Only thing I'll say about that is
That was the one you weren't
definitely-
supposed to talk about.
No, I'm not going to get into it, but I will say that's definitely my game of the year. But I also beat Death Stranding, and the ending of Death Stranding, I've heard a lot of people saying they cried to it. I personally didn't. I don't think it was quite that emotional, but it's got some very like, goddamn, the motion capture is very well done in some of those like final cutscenes of that game. And the story, though, somewhat after playing it, I kind of still don't exactly know what the fuck happened.
But that's kind of the way. That's kind of just Kojima games in general. Of like,
yeah, but like I know what happened, but at the same time, it took me a few minutes after it all kind of happened to like sort of piece it together in my mind and be like, okay, is that like, okay, I think I understand now.
Well, that's just Kojima games, like Metal Gear Solid
game and everything. Like it really is. Once you get into probably like the 7th or 8th chapter, is when stuff like really picks up, and then you basically like the final 5 or something episodes are just like either like a single delivery or like something else.
Really?
and like really crazy stuff starts to happen like while you're trying to attempt like that one seemingly easy thing. So they do get drawn out in a way, but like it's exciting. The end of the game, I got like hooked into it, and I played until like 2 a.m. last night. So I was just like, I'm on like this chapter. Like I know I'm at the end practically. I just need to finish it. But I liked it a lot. I really, really did like that game, and I liked how sort of meditative and peaceful the game felt most of the time.
It's like mesmerizing.
Yeah, it's like goddamn, if they could make GTA in that level of detail of a world, oh my god, like that'd be crazy. But yeah, like hiking up like these crazy places, it was so weirdly like serene and hypnotizing to just like slowly take your time and make it to a point and like drop these things off. And I didn't think of it so much like I was a UPS man. I thought of it more like I am this character that is meant to like reconnect America, but I also
deliver packages,
bring things places. You know,
it sounds a little too close to work for me. Like, well,
I don't know.
I deliver things to people, and it's alcohol, so it brings America together.
Ben is the Norman Reedus of the real world.
It's true, I am.
Like I think the thing that made the game fun and not tedious was the fact that it had that element of like the multiplayer, like the way that other people's structures and things could appear in your world and how everyone could contribute to like building road work sections and things like that. All of a sudden I would like finish a delivery and come back, and there would be like new sections of the road or like a bridge that would be unbelievably well placed for me, or like climbing up somewhere and somebody else like put a bunch of ladders up, or
like the zip lines.
Most of the time towards the end it was finding scattered zip lines, and then I built like a goddamn spider network going all throughout like the whole middle region, and you could just like get on one of them and you could get it to every other like delivery spot in the map. Ben, and I loved going around doing that.
What were you gonna say?
People use that.
Does the shit, I kind of forgot, honestly.
So the strands from...
Oh, no, that's what it is. How long does it take to build a bridge? Like, is it realistic in the time it takes to build a bridge?
No. So it's like you go up, you place down these like
the foundation,
basically like a 3D printer. Yeah, and it like puts a foundation in place, and then bridges, because they're bigger, they don't take very much materials, but they take like 500 of this and 500 of that, and you could easily go back to like a distribution center and go get those materials and bring them over yourself, dump them in, and boom, it'll print in like 15 seconds and be good to go. Or you can just leave the foundation there, and other players will see the foundation in their world, and they can
I'll build a bridge here.
Yeah, while they're walking by, they can be like, "Oh, I have a bunch of extra like metal on me. I'll throw some in there," and they can just like, so you'll come
be like,
back.
"No, fuck them."
The things like fill up, but the road works are like it'll require like 2,000 or 3,000 of like 3 different elements.
Could I steal some of them out of them?
No, but you just go to
everyone going and building together, and Ben's just like taking it apart for his own gain.
I wish that you could like build more like building type things, but I actually kind of liked the idea of just being like these helpful little elements that you would place around that it would be like little tiny like
does the road work just make it easier to walk?
It makes it easier to ride your bike.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
Vehicles.
like you can get like cars and stuff like that. So like the road work, as you build those connect to like several of the major centers. So you can easily go to one and pick up like a bunch of orders for like several other locations going down the highway.
So,
And then
so
it
if
takes you
I
a few
jump in,
minutes
am,
to, like,
am I
stop
just
at
going
each
to
one
be in a
and
world
stuff.
where it's like super easy to fucking get everywhere?
No.
No, so the way it works, and I liked this too, is every single time you go to these, basically like the whole map is like supposed to be like little chunks of like states almost, like they're in like the shapes almost, but they're basically just regions. So when you first enter that region, it is disconnected from what's called the chiral network, which is like the internet essentially. And because it's disconnected from that network, you don't see anybody's stuff. So you always, the first time you have to get to somebody's location,
You have to like
always
connect them
manually-
to the chiral network.
Yeah, you have to hike there. But then once you connect it, it'll open the map and it'll be like, and it'll spread out like a bunch of other people's stuff that they've placed, and it'll be like, check it out, other people put stuff down already. So you
Could you
could
guys
put-
get could you guys get your stuff together? Would that be possible, or is it
It's really
just
hard to
completely
do.
random?
Because you can't personally be like friend request to this
Right.
person, but you can. If I was running through the world and I suddenly found an item that that like Patrick placed in his world and it appeared in my world, he would go on a list of players that I've encountered, and then I could connect with him. And if you
Oh,
do that,
weird.
you could be like, okay, I want to see most of that person's stuff, so you can like connect, like bridge connect is what they call that.
Oh,
So
so that way you could just like work together with somebody.
Yeah, so you could,
Right.
if you were
specific.
lucky enough, you could get like a bunch of friends and all technically sort of share like a network and be able to most likely see each other's stuff all over the place. So like at the end too, this isn't a spoiler, but in the credits it said these are other porters that you connected with, and it just like spat out a list of like probably 60, different usernames, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's like that's actually kind of cool too. It's very random, but it also
So
is like
it's like when I let another delivery driver into the lane deliberately because I'm like, oh, we're both out here working to make these deliveries.
yeah. But it was
It's
a good game. I liked it. It's like there's something very peaceful about it. And then when you do actually get to have these combat moments, they actually feel really tense because your character is not a soldier. Like you're just
he's
so,
just
like,
a guy.
He's just a guy. He can use a
He's
gun.
just a
like
delivery
soldier,
guy.
that's for sure. But
He's just me.
Yeah.
like there were
Basically
some
just
boss
Ben.
fights I had no idea how to prepare for like any boss fight in that game. Anytime I detected one coming, I would like go to my station, like build all these things and like weapons, and then walk out with like all these guns and stuff, and be like, let's fucking do it. And then the boss fight would be like, all right, we're gonna teleport you away and you're gonna drop all that stuff you just made and you're gonna go in with nothing. And I'm just like, what? Fuck, I just used all those fucking resources. Or I'd go in and then they wouldn't be the right weapons for the type of thing I would be fighting, or like it was just a number of things. But that's the final note that I really like, is that anytime you got into a fight with a great big monster in the game, other players, kind of like ghosts, they show up around you and start to throw you like supplies. So while you're playing against a big boss enemy, you could run out of all your ammo and be like, fuck, what do I do? And then suddenly other players' ghosts will like start popping in, and they'll just like pop in and start throwing like rocket launchers or like machine guns or grenades and like stuff, like packages of them out. And then you can just so like the world kind of during these boss fights like feeds you the items you need to finish it if you don't bring what you need. So you're kind of always prepared even when you're not prepared. So I liked that a lot. It made none of the boss fights feel cheap, like, fuck, I didn't prepare for this and now I don't have any of the stuff that I need. Now I'm fucked. What do I do? The game like very deliberately gives you the resources while also having shit be like fucking crazy around you. So it's like you're trying to pick up items while like things are trying to eat you.
Yeah.
Like,
And so one of the things I like the most about the game is how intentional it is in uniting a community. And Kojima was actually like very outspoken about that in the lead up to the game of like, it's so when you use someone else's infrastructure, so when you drive on someone else's patch of road or you use someone else's ladder or zip line, you can like it. And Kojima was asked like, why not the option to dislike? And he said, because we have enough of that in the world. Like, we have enough negative emotion in the world. This game is about connecting people with positive interaction and positive emotion. And so that's all we wanted to give the player the option to do, is like basically forced on the player, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. And
yeah,
it's a game about like it has the multiplayer element is so passive, but it's so at the same time active in like uniting not only the community, but like,
yeah,
it's a very,
like
very unique game.
Like one of the things that would always happen is I might be carrying something and think, wow, I really need to get over this cliff. And then I'd use my little scanner and, butt nugget 420 put down a ladder over here, and it's like exactly where I needed it to be. Or I would be climbing down something treacherous and like suddenly I would be like, oh my God, that's actually another player's rope right there. I can use that to like climb down. Like other people would have put like climbing anchors in or zip lines, and you could kind of like finish, like it was like scattered stuff that you could fill in the other parts for, so you still feel like you have to kind of contribute, but you're not the sole person doing all of it. It's a really interesting way of like being alone while also feeling very much with other people.
It's yes. So
It's
I'm
a
sure
really good
that
game. It's
I'm sure that
interesting.
we'll discuss Death Stranding quite a bit more in the future. I also played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Me too.
It's I think that I'm the least hot on this game of the three of us.
Blasphemy!
I think it's pretty good.
I think it's the best. Like, I think it's my favorite thing ever. I loved every single part of it.
They nailed the lightsaber. Like the way the lightsaber sounds in particular. Man, it sounds and feels good.
Yeah, it feels that like oh, it really got that like heaviness to it.
And
So
I feel like the lights. Well, and I think that they like the challenge of the game is great too, because it's like, oh yeah, I am like kind of a Force novice. Like,
yeah, it's
like
they don't put you in
everything.
the power of or in the shoes of like an ultimate badass Force user. Like Cal is clearly like was a kid and just stopped his training.
The thing I liked about that, Zach actually said, was that like because of how kind of the game is difficult, you yourself have to learn like the timings. It's like it actually has a very similar combat system to Sekiro, like almost identical, like sword fighting to Sekiro. And the difficulty as you yourself learn the timing, the character also gets better. So it's like you are also learning to like become a Jedi in a way. Is like a cool like little note that he said. And I like
fucking flame troopers, dude.
Oh, they're such a pain in the ass because they're like they can get you from such a distance.
Exactly. It's like it's an unrealistic flame distance. Distance, it seems like. I usually just try and force push them, but that never does enough damage to them.
Use the slow. The slow power is like your best friend, just like, and then just run around him and just cut his head off. Like,
yeah, that probably makes sense.
Or once you get force pull, that's my favorite. I use that for everything.
So I haven't gotten force pull yet. We're not going to do any spoilers. So we're not going to talk about that one thing that you get. You know,
I could tell that you were going to.
There's a few cool things
happen based on. I could tell that it was going to happen based on the. Fact that there was one of the hilts was like busted off.
Well, that like I noticed that in the promotional material like a long time ago that it was broken, and I was thinking, like,
it gets even better. They had it's so cool.
Yeah.
Just finish the game and then tell me how like you actually feel about it, because
So,
like it just
thus
kept
far-
getting better. Like, oh, I loved it.
so far I think it's pretty good. I think it's definitely like it's the most LucasArts Star Wars game that's ever been that wasn't actually LucasArts.
Honestly, like storytelling wise,
Pretty good too. I thought.
I think it's like I would say that it's up there with like any Star Wars game I've ever played.
Yeah, I thought like just the story and just the combat in general really felt like weighty and significant. Like I remember like Jedi Academy and stuff where you'd use the lightsaber and it was kind of like you were waving around a feather that killed people, and like
Yeah.
that's what I liked about this so much, is it's like, I don't know, just it's just such a good game.
This is the new high watermark for lightsaber combat in a video game.
Yeah,
finally
I really hope
topping-
they make another one day.
Finally topping Obi-Wan.
Once you get the fucking sprint, so the sprint auto block shots, that's a game changer.
One of the best abilities, like fighting abilities I got, was like one of the first ones where you can attack, and then if you just like pause for a second and then attack again, he like attacks and then kind of just like stabs.
Oh yeah,
forward.
I just got that
That's
one.
really helpful. Like
Okay.
against that is also way more powerful than like the normal attack. Like that does like
All
twice
right.
as the damage of like a
I
normal
will
slash.
Go for that next.
It's really helpful against any stormtrooper with like the little lightning batons, like because they'll
Yeah.
like block and then you'll be like hit, and then you do the stab and they like can't block the stab. Usually it just like goes right through and pokes them.
Yeah.
So that in the beginning helped so much.
So this has got to be up there as one of the best Star Wars games ever.
I feel like it's the God of War of Star Wars games.
No, it's not as good as God of War.
I disagree.
I mean, it's not as polished as God of War, but I think that's because of the fact that it's not like a first party.
But I think it's on
still
par.
AAA.
Like the game, in terms of like how fun it was, and like I am very excited to go through and platinum the rest of that game.
I am definitely getting way more frustrated with this game than I got
Yes.
with God of War, but the frustration is every time pretty much in combat situations. Like there
Are you playing
was-
on like Jedi Knight or Jedi Master?
Jedi Master's the hardest, right?
There's one more higher than that.
There's
So it's like,
Grandmaster above that.
yeah, there's like easy, normal, hard, and very hard. Like I tried playing on hard for a while and I was really frustrated, so I moved it down to normal for like the rest of the game, and
I'm
the
on
game was still
normal.
challenging, but like
I think
definitely
Tim is
like
playing very hard.
God, that's where it literally has Sekiro level like deflection timing. Like you get like you have to do it like as they hit you.
I think I'm on normal, but
I'm thinking about moving it down to easy.
Honestly, like I was having so much trouble with combat in the beginning, and then you just keep kind of with it, and like you'll slowly just start getting other powers and like just like the fighting moves, and I feel like once you just start to get that blocking, basically the biggest things I can say are blocking and dodging are your two biggest moves.
yeah,
Jumping
then
is useless.
I want to get
fights.
that I want to get the dodge attack. That one seems like it's gonna be key.
So you mentioned the powers, and so I have to bring it up. I honestly don't even think this is the best game this year for force powers. Like I
Better
think
one.
Control did force powers better than this game did.
No
No.
way, because Control's not force powers. Like
It's a
Jedi
different-
can't just fly. Jedi
Yeah.
can't like.
It's a different level of like that's like telepathy and like telekinesis, where like the force is like I thought they did that so well, like when you like push people, like it
Yeah,
actually
everyone. I think
feels
that's the
more
thing
like
that
that
is
Star
not
Wars.
necessarily as communicated in the cinematic universe as it is in more in like the in like the books, but the Force, when like a Jedi is grabbing something with the Force, they're
It's slow.
reaching out. Well, they're reaching out, and it's an extension of themselves that is grabbing it.
Yeah.
Not their mind, like picking
Yeah.
it up and throwing it. Like, yeah. So it's like, it sort of
That's
makes
why it was
sense
so
that he only has
controversial
like these
that
like specific.
Vader was able to choke Krennic in the
Oh yeah.
in,
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One, because he's not facing him, and he just starts choking him, and you see that his hand is in the right place,
Yeah.
but like the right position, but he's not facing him, which in like all the novels, that's how they talk about, like when they're picking things up with the Force, you're like reaching out with an extension of yourself, not using your mind to do it.
Ben, you're mentioning the EU, and that's another thing that I do want to praise about this game is this is the least pretentious kind of like nose in the air Star Wars product, I think, that has been made since Disney took over. This feels very much like one of the EU novels from like the early 2000s, late 90s. And that's awesome. I love the tone that they hit with this game.
Yeah, it was like a good little. It almost felt like Rogue One, like how Rogue One was just like this important note in the canon, like in a weird way. I know this doesn't necessarily have any
You
like
guys need to
significance in the
get back
canon,
into
but like
Star Wars books,
just
because
like I feel like it was just a great little like
The
blip
books
in
are
the history.
like that, Ben.
yeah, the books are totally like that, Matt. Still, like, I mean, Timothy Zahn is a fucking incredible author, and he does a great job, because like he's working between areas and just creating new stories, but like it's like, oh, in the first Thrawn, they're constantly talking about how they're collecting Dunium for something, and it's like you don't really know. They don't ever confirm what they're collecting like you keep hearing them talking about collecting Dunium for, but then like as a person who knows Star Wars, you're like, oh, they're totally collecting the Dunium to build the Death Star.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So overall, I'm enjoying it so far. There are points where it's like this is
Just-
bad design, but I'm enjoying it. I'm
Once
going to
you
finish it for sure.
just once you beat it, like just then tell me what you think, because I thought the ending was really cool.
Yeah. But we still have a lot to discuss. We went on with what we've been playing for like 30 minutes. So we're
Yeah, we
probably going to cut out the topic of the show, get back to that some other time. But now it's time for the news at now.
The news show. It's the news show. We are now a news show, so we bring you news.
Oh, Ben's going to take a hit while we're playing the news song. All right, time for the news at now. So Sony sent out some emails, and they were not the good kind of email. Sony sent emails to their PS Vue subscribers, notifying them that the service will be shut down as of January 30th. So you guys, we're all familiar with PS Vue, right?
I did
Isn't that like
month
is that like
free.
their television
It is.
thing?
It's like live streaming TV.
Andrew, you should do a free month in one of the last 2 months before it closes.
Yeah,
Free
Oh, that
TV. They have been having difficulty competing, which this whole like TV
That's-
over the internet.
I think that Hulu and YouTube are gonna, because of the notoriety of their names.
are going to duke it out for that top spot.
Yeah.
Do you think the DirecTV Now is going to be a major player?
Maybe. I don't know. I guess, yeah, probably, because they have the infrastructure and AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T being behind that is a big thing. But Sony is like, they've struggled to compete in this, and like it is a very strange market.
Well, and I think Sony is probably just realizing that that's maybe not that's not the service that they need to be working on. I think that they are probably like, I mean, they're probably better to spend those resources on
PS Now.
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I definitely, if that's what they are doing, I really, really appreciate that, because I think that while I like Sony's ecosystem, like Sony was building a pretty good ecosystem, and like losing PS Vue is losing a pretty major part of it, but like they still have a pretty good ecosystem. And so I really like Sony's ecosystem. If they're redistributing, like if they're like concentrating their focus on games, I'm okay with that. Especially, I love PS Now. Like, PS Now is such a no-brainer these days.
I'm still not convinced it's a no-brainer, but
For the price of one game a year, you get access to like more than 900.
Yeah. That's fair.
So I mean, and it is a shame, because like I like to stay within an ecosystem, and I was looking forward to, once Jillian gets like a career job, I was going to sub to PS Vue, but now that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll try Hulu TV. Who knows? Andrew, any thoughts on PS Vue?
No, I never really tried it and didn't really ever have a plan to try it. I was just happy enough to find out that my roommate's girlfriend got Disney Plus and put that on my PlayStation, so I've been watching The Mandalorian, so that's all I care about.
Yeah, true. So, in other news then, Razer, the PC gaming company, has unveiled a new Joy-Con-like controller for Android phones. It's called the Razer Jungle Cat. Ben, you sent us a link on this.
It looks pretty cool.
It looks honestly really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And
but you were like, "Oh, I'm getting that," and I was like, "But it won't work with your phone." And you were like, "Wait, what?"
yeah,
I was like, "Read the article."
That's what sucks about it. Is right now so I read the article, and it says it works with the Galaxy S10, the Galaxy Note 9, and the Huawei P30 Pro.
So that's like not that many phones that
No.
it works with.
No, it's not many phones, and I'm assuming it works with the Razer phone and the Razer phone 2, because like
Probably.
it's pictured in their promotional material, so I'm gonna just chalk that up to bad journalism. But
Yeah.
but like that's still like the Razer phone and the Razer phone 2 are like they have almost no market share, and so I'm just wondering like
Well,
why.
and Call of Duty won't let you use it.
So there are controllers, and I would assume the Jungle Cat can do this, that have software, so you can create software buttons. So instead of just pressing, like instead of it sending a command to the phone, what it does is it sends a command. It sends a touch input to a certain space on the phone, so you can like basically have like little spots on the screen that you overlay. It's like a screen overlay, and then when you press the button, it tells the phone that you're touching that spot on the
so
phone,
that
you can just lay them on
get
top of the
past.
buttons.
But like, I feel like the sticks that would.
So I mean, that really depends on how good or bad the sticks and like the virtual sticks are. I don't know. I mean, I think it's dumb that Call of Duty Mobile isn't letting anyone use controllers anyways.
Yeah, I think that's a weird choice too.
And I also think it's dumb that Razer is launching this thing without iPhone support for $99.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, why would they? I don't understand why they're not. Like, does it say if they have any plans to do iPhone support?
it didn't. It didn't say like they didn't say anything
it
about
probably because you'd have to build a different version because it probably plugs into like USB 3 or USB C. I mean,
I think I read that it was Bluetooth.
oh really?
And so I don't know. I feel like this is a really cool product that's being executed terribly.
Sounds like most of Razer's.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, they made a Razer Blade Pro 17-inch, and it's like it's a gaming notebook that has a 4K screen at 120 hertz, and it's like, but most gaming desktops struggle to run games at 4K at 120 hertz. So what's the point? I don't know.
I guess for watching movies.
It's a stupid display on a computer that charges a $600 premium. It's a dumb display.
I think that it seems like a lot of the stuff that Razer makes, it's just like, isn't it cool that we can do this?
Yeah, it's like, isn't this cool? But in practice, it's not going to be useful at all. And like, that's Razer is very much like, I'm not going to say the exact opposite of Apple, because Apple really does launch their shit and they're like, isn't this cool? But it's like Apple launches their shit and they say like, it's very pretentious. They're like, isn't this magical? But the thing is like, then you use it and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is really good.
Yeah.
And Razer is like, isn't this awesome? And it's like, yeah, it totally is. And then you use
what
it.
We did. It's like it's run by like 2 5th grade boys.
Yeah. 2 5th grade boys that are like fucking geniuses. They totally know how to make shit, but then like implementation is just terrible.
Yeah.
2 5th grade boys. That's a really good analogy for Razer. So, but in other news, Ubisoft Spain tweeted out a picture of Sam Fisher's goggles. And we all know Sam Fisher of Splinter Cell fame. And the caption of the tweet reads, "It is necessary to understand the darkness in order to face it. ... Last time Sam was teased for the audience was turned out to be Ghost Recon Wildlands. So let's not get our hopes up.
They're just like, haha, fuck you.
I kind of feel like that's what they did.
They're like, you got your hopes up and dashed.
Was he in Ghost Recon?
Yeah. Yeah. So they teased him by, there was an interview that Michael Ironside did. And Michael Ironside was the voice of Sam in the first 5 games. And Michael Ironside did an interview where they asked, the interviewer asked him about playing Sam Fisher, and he responded and said, I am Sam Fisher. And it's like, it was this big moment of like, holy shit, is Michael Ironside like coming back to voice the character? Is he like hinting at something new? And then it turned out he was just voicing the cameo appearance for Sam Fisher in Ghost Recon Wildlands. And that was a major disappointment. Yeah.
When does he show up?
There's so it was DLC, and it was free DLC, but it was like a free update mission. It was a really hard mission, a lot like the Predator one. But
there's one where the Predator comes after you.
Yeah, there's one where you go hunt the Predator in one part of the map.
What? That sounds cool. I want to do that.
It's really hard. But like, and it was actually really cool because they gave a nod to Metal Gear Solid. They were like, what was it? Sam, like one of the handlers says to one of the ghosts, she's like, yeah, no, there were never many like him. And Sam says, no, there's that one guy out in the desert. Where's a bandana? And then, and she's like, nope, he retired. And he like has this moment where he like looks off and he's just like looks really sad and he goes, it's just me now. And it's like this really like sobering moment.
Who's the guy in the desert with
it's
the
Snake.
bandana?
Snake.
Oh.
And they like it was this really sobering moment where they like paid their respect to Metal Gear Solid. But
Tired. I'm like, hard blow.
so I mean,
Not Solid Snake. That's just some asshole in the desert.
no, Venom Snake matters, Andrew. Venom Snake matters.
Snake doesn't matter.
So audiences have been pretty outspoken about wanting another Splinter Cell game. The last one was Blacklist, launched in 2013 on the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
Not quite what I expected.
Blacklist was a good game, though.
It's fun, but it wasn't like it was no Chaos Theory.
Oh, no. It was no chaos. I mean, that's like saying, yeah, it was fun, but it wasn't on par with one of the best Xbox games of all time.
Well, I mean, hey, you know. This is why we have these games.
That's
They
true.
are benchmarks.
That's true. Yeah, it was no Chaos Theory, but if you turned the difficulty all the way up and forced yourself to play Ghost, it was pretty good.
You had to play with your dog?
Yeah.
Just like texted
she
all
doesn't
the
have
bodyguards
opposable
and just
thumbs
stopped
and-
texting all of them suddenly.
She struggles. So yeah, do you guys think that this is going to be a new Splinter Cell? Because here's the thing is Ubisoft said that those game delays that we discussed a couple of weeks ago were going to be on next gen consoles. And they said that I think they said 5 games and we know of 3 of them. And then there was, of course, an Assassin's Creed leak, which that's just,
Don't really care about that.
I mean, that's about as
Par for the course.
yeah, par for the course. That's about as inevitable as death and taxes. A new Assassin's Creed game leaking.
And then Call of Duty.
But-
So they're just going to make a Call of
That's
Duty
not
where it's just about
Ubisoft,
pooping on the battlefield.
They said
Well,
they
still
have
come out every year.
5 games in development for next gen consoles. Could this be number 5?
That would certainly be cool if they made one that actually returned to form to like the old
To like
ones. 'Cause
the
that,
Splinter
that,
Cell,
that was the whole
Pandora
thing. with Splinter
Tomorrow,
Cell was
Chaos
making it
Theory.
be slow and meticulous process where like rather than just going in a room and being like execute headshot mode.
Yeah,
It's going to be Far Cry Primal 2.
Far Cry Primal 2 featuring Sam Fisher, featuring
It's
a guest
just,
appearance
it's just robot
from Sam
dinosaurs
Fisher.
and they have laser eyes.
That game is called Far Cry Blood Dragon, and it's sick.
I was going to say that game's called fucking Horizon Zero Dawn, but
Also sick. Yeah, no. Okay, so Blizzard announced some games. Diablo 4. Any interest from the panelists?
Definitely excited for
Hard meh on Diablo.
really on Diablo 4.
I mean, do you have
I'm
anything to say? Yeah?
I mean,
Did-
other than just, I think it looks cool as hell. I love Diablo.
So they're tonally they're
I-
It's
going
one of the
more
first
for
played
trailers that
Diablo
made me
since, like,
actually want to.
one.
The third one was
maybe-
super fun. Playing that on PlayStation with like another friend, playing like couch co-op. That was fun. Like watching the trailers for the game. It's like one of the only trailers that's ever made me want to play like a barbarian character. Like you can just carry 4 different types of weapons, and you're just like this walking fucking blade storm. Sounds cool.
So, Ben, what were you saying you haven't played since Diablo 1?
yeah, I think so. Diablo 1 on PC.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 2, but I think that's the only one I played.
So they announced this game for PC, Xbox One, and PS4, but they also said that the game is a long ways away, even by Blizzard standards.
So they're going to come out on last gen?
I don't think they will. I fully expect the Xbox One and PS4 versions to get canceled, and for them to develop the Scarlet and PS5 version.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
I see Diablo 4 coming out in the later half of the Scarlet PS5 generation. Like, this game is a long ways away.
Yeah. But like most good things in life, patience is a virtue.
I mean, for reference, Diablo 3 was announced in 2008 and released in 2013.
Yeah, that's fair. And this is long, even by Blizzard standards, so
Yeah.
we probably won't see it till 2025.
Yeah. That I think 2025 is probably realistic.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm not as excited.
Andrew's like, I'll probably have kids by then.
Yeah, right.
Not by my choice, just by a mistake.
Yeah. Whoops. Accidentally poked one too many holes in my condom.
Why are you poking holes in your condoms?
And I like to sabotage myself. It's a game of risk, you know.
Just
I like to
don't
roll the
wear it.
dice
Like,
every time.
He's like, I'm not a man.
I'm
and I
just
can
kidding.
play
I don't
Russian
use
roulette."
condoms.
So I get a box of 6 condoms.
And I poke holes in one of them. And then I just
And
go to
then-
town.
It's Russian roulette, baby.
No, then he only uses one from the package and
Yeah.
throws the rest away. Throws it away
And-
after.
All his lady friends are like, why do you throw away a whole box of condoms? It's a long thing. You wouldn't want to know.
Tradition. It's kind of like before the NFL players.
If
played
you're lucky, you'll never find out.
you'll never find out.
All right, so Blizzard
God.
also announced Overwatch 2. Now, we are bigger fans of Overwatch. So, Overwatch 2 is going to include a new story
I haven't watched
mode.
anything about it. But yeah, that's I'm kind of intrigued that it's going to be a lot more story based.
Yeah, so it's going to include
Is
a
it
new
going to be
story
co-op
mode,
story?
a PvE mode,
EE?
player versus everyone,
Or everything.
everything. Yeah.
What does that mean?
That's
They-
usually like, you know, the Halloween mode they had where you fight all like the robot things. Like that's basically PvE.
Okay.
They said that they don't want to split. So this is where Overwatch 2 gets weird, because they said they don't want to split the player base. So all future maps, heroes, and skins will be coming that come to Overwatch 2 will also be coming to Overwatch 1.
Interesting.
So,
So what's the point of Overwatch 2? Like just to play story modes?
and PvE? I don't think that's enough. Like personally, I don't.
Nah.
Depends on the price tag.
I guess if it's $40, maybe. If it's $60, probably not.
And if they're gonna if are they gonna charge me for future stories, or are they gonna continue giving me a fuck ton of free stories down the road? Because if they have continued to produce new content for Overwatch, because if they are gonna do that, then $60 I could also see doing like.
I definitely agree with you on that. I wonder if they have the capacity to do that and continue to support the game in the way that they have been, which I feel very confident that they will continue to support the game in the way that they have been, at the very
they're
least.
swimming in money.
Yeah. I don't think that money would be the limiting factor there, though. I think it would be talent. Like, can they find the right talent to come on board and handle supporting both versions of Overwatch, like the multiplayer scene and the single player story?
Well, that's why I think they could do it. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to.
I would be psyched if they did that, and that's something that I hadn't considered, of like episodic and release a new episode, like a 2 or 3 or 4 hour episode of single player every like 4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be into that.
Maybe.
So, as it stands right now, let's just get the feeling from the room. Overwatch 2, yay or nay?
Kind of a nay.
I'm a cautious yay.
Same. I'm a cautious yay, and I'm cautious because I am always in like 1 or 2 solid nights of having a ton of fun with Overwatch away from Overwatch having a total renaissance in my life. And like really falling in love with
It's
Overwatch
fun.
again.
That seems sort of, I mean, if they do have them all go to the first one, like, good God, I'll just keep playing the first one. Well, maybe. I haven't really played it in a long time.
I would agree with you, but Overwatch, like, Blizzard has been so good about storytelling with Overwatch that if they're doing a story mode, I want to see it.
True.
Yeah.
Like the
I'd
story.
be curious to know how that is. If it's like, I'll be curious to know how that goes.
The storytelling not only is like Overwatch is the universe like ripe for a story, like they've already set it, it's already there. We just need to get more familiar with it. But like all of their shorts have been really awesome too. So, and finally, yesterday, the announcement that we never thought would happen. Valve is releasing a new Half-Life game.
Isn't it a VR game?
It is. So it's called Half-Life Alyx.
But it's not going to be on PSVR. I almost guarantee.
I almost guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Half-Life Alyx. It's a VR game. We really don't know anything else, but this is a big deal to me, and I think to a lot of other people, because this means that Half-Life isn't dead.
Yeah, no, I'm intrigued by it. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I don't imagine myself having a VR that can run it.
Yeah, I think that I'm excited by Half-Life Alyx, not because I don't think I'm going to play the game because of hardware limitations, but
just to see what the story kind of like chunk is.
Not necessarily. I mean, I would love to see the story, and I'll probably watch a Let's Play, but more interested just because this does open the door back up for Half-Life 3. Like this, and that's such a silly thing to say in 2019, but like, could this lead to Half-Life 3? Finally. And that's like, for the first time in, 10 years? That's a realistic question of like, could this be the thing that opens the door for Half-Life 3?
That would be interesting. That would be a crazy expanse for Half-Life 3 to come out.
It would be very... I don't think Half-Life 3 would be a VR game.
Certainly technology-wise could be quite a jump from the old games.
Oh, man. Even Half-Life 2 Remastered is starting to look dated.
Well, I mean, the jump from 1 to 2...
was amazing.
Yeah.
It was, like, unbelievable. I played Half-Life 2 when it first came out, and I was stunned by the graphics. I could not believe how good the graphics were.
I remember getting Half-Life 2 when our family still had like a crappy little like Dell computer, and it just couldn't do it. It couldn't run the game. It wouldn't even start. It would just like start to load the first level, and then it would crash. And like, it took me so long before I got to finally play that game.
Where did you finally play it?
When I finally as a kid like got my own laptop, that was like
okay, so you played it on
that I could play. Yeah,
so you played it on a computer.
Yeah, I played it just like on my Inspiron computer or whatever. Inspiron, and I remember like in the beginning on the shitty computer, I could get to the part where the guy would go pick up that can. That's what it was. He'd go
Citizen,
pick up the can.
Pick up
and then
that
I'd
can.
throw it in there, and then I'd turn to like walk through like the security checkpoint, and there was like too many lights or something, and the game would just be like die.
Ben, where did you first play Half-Life 2?
I've never finished Half-Life 2, but 360 on the Orange Box collection.
Orange Box, I think, is probably still the best collection of games ever put together on one disc.
Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2, Portal, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Episode 2. Like, that's a fucking hell of a disc. First time I ever...
360, or was it on PlayStation?
So it was ported to PlayStation 3 by Gearbox because Gabe Newell refuses to work on the PlayStation 3 because of the architecture. So the first time I played Half-Life 2 was on PC. I played it several more times on PC. Then I played it on Xbox several times. I then played it on Xbox 360 several times. I've played it on PS3 several times. Half-Life 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. So the fact that for the first time in 10 years, the question of is Half-Life 3 happening is not absurd.
Like a general no.
is very exciting.
I remember seeing something online where someone who was like skeptical or something at first. They were all excited. They were like, "Oh my god, Valve's making a VR game!" And then all the comments were like, "Who's gonna tell him?"
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, I'm really excited about this. I'm very much looking forward to it. But we're running out of time, so it's time for the weekly trivia challenge.
What's that?
What are you showing us, Ben?
That's the boss from Half-Life 1.
Oh, yeah. God, it's been so long since I've played Half-Life 1. I need to play that game again. All right, this week's weekly trivia challenge. In the Hitman series, what is the full name of Agent 47's handler? Is it A, Vivian Wood, B, Diana Burnwood, C, Elizabeth Oakwood, or D, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Andrew, you can answer first.
No, I figured I'd let you.
I know it.
Exactly. Go right ahead,
Andrew, you can answer first.
All right. What are the first three again?
A, Vivian Wood, B, Diana Burnwood, C, Elizabeth Oakwood, or D, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? It's D.
I know it is, but I don't think I should choose that one. I don't know. I'll go with C, final option.
C, Elizabeth Oakwood, final answer?
Yeah.
Ben, enlighten us, please.
It's Diana from Agency.
All right. So, Ben, final answer?
That's correct.
Damn,
Ben,
I was wondering if that was my second guess.
Ben, you're at 15 points. I think you've clinched it. Ben is the champion of the first year of the Hard Reset Podcast Weekly Trivia Challenge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, Ben. Nobody cares.
I most of the time, if I don't know the answer, just try and piggyback off of the people who do.
Well, why are you picking questions that you know only one of us is going to know the answer to?
I've done that for you.
I know. Once.
Well, get better with trivia. So that's all we have for you guys tonight. If you liked what you heard, and honestly, Andrew, I did not know that Ben would know that. I know that Ben plays the Hitman games, but I thought, I play the Hitman games too, and I didn't know it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so ingrained in my head because she always, when she calls you, even though she's the only person who ever calls you, she's always like, "This is Diana from Agency."
All right. Well, that's all we have for you guys tonight. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you found us on. Don't forget to check out our website, coldnorthpro.com, to see everything we do all in one spot, and that does include our movies podcast, No Refunds, the podcast that watches bad movies so you don't have to. Ben, what's our most recent episode of that?
Deathbed, the bed that eats.
Oh,
Deathbed.
arguably the best movie that we've watched on that show.
Deathbed, the bed that eats.
It's just a bunch of chewing noises. The movie, I shit you not, opens with a solid minute of just chewing noises on a black
that's
screen.
That's what I ended up putting in for the
trailer
because there
sound.
wasn't a trailer, so I just put in
the chewing sound.
What a movie. I love that movie. We'll be back next week talking about whatever happens in the next 7 days. So until then, reset. Deathbed, the bed that eats.
So the beginning of the movie is just
it's just a black screen, and it's just like a hard, crunching on an apple. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Ben, you're doing it perfectly.
And then when it's actually eating people, it's just.
Watch it on Amazon Prime Video.